Hey guys, welcome back to another Cars on the Road custom series. Today's episode is episode 5, Showtime. And it's been a while since I've been able to record these, so I don't know. Hopefully I'm still in tune with everything, trying to keep everything consistent. This is one of those simple ones. I've had it finished for a while. I've just been working on the more complex episodes and more complex cars. There's not really a whole lot to this episode, at least as far as what I've done. This one is Harlem Haynes. It came out of the Showtime playset with Ivy. And there's a reason why I only have one of these, because I'm trying to keep the best ones out of frame, and in my opinion, this is the most basic one that I've done. I didn't even really do anything to it. All I did was take it apart and repaint the base, and then put it back together. I added some BBs inside of it just to give it a little bit more weight. It was way too light. Kind of the same thing they do with the color changers. They just have that little metal weight inside of it, and they screw them back together. So I did put a extra BB on top of the screw and then glue it in because it felt a little too light as is. So all I did, that's that doesn't qualify for anything, but again, that's just because I wanted to include it, because I try including these even if I do the littlest amount of work to them. So I apologize. I know this isn't meeting your guys' standards, but I don't want him to feel neglected, so I included him. This, however, oh boy, where do I start? I guess I'll just cut right to the bone. This is an Ivy from the playset again. The only thing I did with this one is I painted, some of it's coming off now, but I painted the light bar. I painted and customized a back, because when she comes in the story time, she doesn't, or comes in the Showtime playset, she doesn't have these. And then I took her completely apart, used a Monster Jam base. It's got, I think, 3 or 4 different versions of it. The base, I think, is off of a Gravedigger or something. I don't really remember now. But the same thing with episode 4. I had to cut the base in half right here, and then I just went ahead and glued it back together. Added another base from I think it was a Color Changers monster truck. I don't even remember now. But I glued those on because you need the chassis and the suspension and everything. The bottom, I just painted that with gold and yellow paint mix to give her that gold. Same thing with the rims. I didn't paint the rims, that's how they came. But I do remember the tires and the wheels came off of a horsepower monster truck. And then this used to be all silver. Painted it in with black, and then I wanted to leave some of it gray. Trying to see if the camera catches it here. Tried to leave some of it gray just to have that two-tone there, so if I did, you wouldn't be able to see all the lug nuts and everything. So I painted those in. Haven't figured out a way to take away the BKT on the tires. I'm afraid if I do that, it'll ruin it. I redid the front of the chassis a little bit. I used some toothpicks, glue, and then just painted it brown. So that's the closest I could get to a die cast. even though she's plastic. And because I didn't completely want to ruin the Ivy that came with the playset, which is this one, I was afraid to ruin it and not have a car, or a truck. So I took the base from it and just put it on a Ivy from McDonald's. And I did, however, put the gold on it prior. Painted the gold on the rims. And then I painted in all the gold on her light bar and her roll cage. And the last one is one that I most recently did, which is why this episode's been pushed back. You got Clown Nose McQueen. For this one, I just used a Cars on the Road McQueen. Redid the eyes. I didn't actually have to take it apart. I just paint masked it. Redid the eyes to give it that, oh crap, are you serious? The mouth I redid with steel stick. I filled it in, sanded it down, grinded out a mouth to give him that really embarrassed look. Or really scared look, depending on how you want to see him as. Bent the wheels. They're still attached to the existing axle, unlike the others where I had to cut the axle and bring them in. So I just bent the back slightly. Barely burnt the tips just to give it a little flat spot. Burnt the front and then let him sit flat, so that he's sitting like this. And then I used a bead from I have all this random junk and random scrap parts and pieces. And one of them is a bunch of necklaces I got from my mom. So I used that, painted it up, filled in the front and the bottom with Play-Doh and super glue. That's, if you're doing small things, such as filling in the hole where the string goes through the beads, that works out really good. Play-Doh and super glue mix, as long as you get a thin layer of Play-Doh on something, or you're filling it in where it's deep enough and you want to just coat the surface, put a lot of super glue on it, and then when it completely dries, sand it down. You want to try to make sure it's smooth and there's no bubbles in it. Smooth as you can spread it out, and then just sand that down to where it's smooth to whatever surface you're doing. I found that to be a great hack. I found that out years ago, but I did that because I don't want to break out the steel stick with it being as expensive as it is. So there's the Showtime. That is, again, I did that with Ivy because I didn't want to ruin the Showtime playset, and I also didn't want to have to go buy another one because they're like $30 at Target, and we don't have a Target near where I live, so that would have been a lot just to say, oh, I'm going to go buy another playset, which as an adult that sounds horrible. So that's kind of why the playsets for me are kind of a turnoff. Don't get me wrong, they're great quality. They have amazing setups and displays, which is what I use them for. I would set them up as a display, like a diorama. But it's just such a crazy thing, and I know Disney Docket said the same thing. Props to him for a lot of this. But he echoed the sentiments when he's like, I'm an adult and you're buying a playset. So that's just, it doesn't sound right. But I don't buy playsets. I buy dioramas. I buy display pieces. That's my rationalization of it. So enough of the rambling. That's episode 5. Showtime. Stay tuned. The next episode is episode 6. Trucks. 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 Yeah, I'm not going to go through all that. All right. See you in the next one. Bye.